Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Welcome to the show, y'all. This is a hard one right here, y'all. This is a hard one to tell. It's a hard one to tell because it's going to show you the things that happen to families that find themselves on the wrong side of the law. I hope you stay tuned for the whole show and all of the episodes because it's going to get thick, man. And I know a lot of you don't like those splitting up of the episodes, but this one, I can't tell the whole story in one phone call, and the phone calls are 30 minutes a piece. So sometimes the stories get pieced together if it's a short one, like if it's 45 minutes. But if they go on past that, they have to be separate shows. You feel what I'm saying? So bear with me on that, y'all. But check this out. This story's about this family. You have the father, his name is Skip. The mother's name is Brenda. The sister, the daughter, her name is Fee. And the son, the brother, his name is Carl, right? And Carl and Fee are twins. They're twins. And one male, one female. And they were growing up in this neighborhood that it was like the lower part of the middle class spectrum. And they were doing okay. Their father, the mother, she stayed home most of the time. She had odd jobs, to make ends meet here and there, whatever, little part-time gigs. But the father, Skip, he had a full-time job. But the problem with Skip was that he was a full-blown alcoholic. Now, he sipped during the week, but on the weekends, he would get drunk. I mean, all the way drunk. Wasn't no in-between or anything like that. And a lot of times, his addiction would cause him to go too far and spend money that they didn't have to spend. And that's what made it to where Brenda would have to sometimes go out and get a job to pay some bills off or stuff like that. But she loved her man. And she stuck by her man. She took her vows seriously. And they had a beautiful life as far as them all being there. But they had problems like any other family. But when Fee and Carl were 12 years old, things started to get worse for Skip, their father, And by the time they got 14, that's when tragedy hits. Skip doesn't come home one night. And it's not that late. Now, they're 14 at this time, right? But it started to go downhill at 12. When they're 14, Skip doesn't come home one night. So Brenda, the mother, she tells Carl to go out and find their dad, and bring him home because that happened. It was a bar down the street, you know what I'm saying, where he could go, and it wasn't that far for him to walk in. Everybody knew him in the neighborhood. It's one of those types of neighborhoods, right? So it wasn't an issue like today where you go out and you got to worry about your child being kidnapped and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't like that, right? So when Carl went down the road, he's looking for his dad. He knows to go to the bar. So he goes to the bar, he goes in there, and he doesn't find him. But normally when he goes to the bar and he can't find his dad, he goes into the back of the club, right? And in the back of the club is where a lot of the guys, they shoot dice and gamble and stuff like that, right? So Skip is in the back of the club. And while Carl is on his way back there, he sees a lot of people running and a lot of commotion and all this and that. And the crowd is running towards him, but he's walking through the crowd. Something tells him that his father is in trouble. So he makes his way through the crowd and he gets to the back of the club, outside in the back of the club, and he finds his father laying out back. He's been stabbed. He's been stabbed in the abdomen and he's bleeding. He's unconscious. So Carl runs back into the place and tells somebody to call 911, call the ambulance, right? And look, let me say something about this club. This club, a lot of people that frequent this club are street people. They don't really, get involved, even though they know Skip and all that kind of stuff. They try to stay clear of things like that, right? So he runs back in there, and the owner, he calls 911, but he ain't in no rush. But anyway, 911 gets there. And by the time they get there, the ambulance gets there, Skip is out. He's still alive, but he's out of it. and they get him to the hospital. And when they get him to the hospital, it does not look good. So Brenda and Fee, they both come to the hospital. Now all four of them are at the hospital. You know what I'm saying? And Skip is in the bed, and the doctor tells Brenda, he pulls her to the side and says, look, if he would have gotten here a little earlier, we would have been able to save him, but it's touch and go right now, and he's not sure if Skip is going to make it. And right while he's telling Brenda what's going on, a medical code, he has to run in there, and it's Skip. His heart stopped beating. Now, they got the paddles on him. You know how it go. Y'all seen this thing before. They trying to revive him and all this and that, but he's gone. He's gone. Now, Carl and Fee, they're standing outside of the room. They're hugging each other, scared, crying, because they see him laying on this hospital bed. His arm is fallen to the side of the bed. He's gone. And Brenda, their mother, is laying on top of him. She's crying. The nurses are trying to console her, get her off of him so that they can, you know what I'm saying, clean him up and get him out of there, whatever. It's the hospitals, you know how that goes. So they get her up out of there and all this, and they get her to clean herself up, wipe the blood off of her because she's got blood all over her clothes, her face, her hair, and everything like that, right? And when she comes out into the hallway, she's looking at her kids, and they all embracing this, a new life for them. She's a single mother now, widowed, with 2 kids, twins, 14 years old. Like I said, she worked part-time. Skip was the breadwinner. Now, he had been working a long time, so she's going to be able to get a check, you know what I'm saying, to supplement the SSI check. Y'all know how that goes. She's going to be able to get a check, but it's not going to be what he was making at his job. It's not going to be the side hustle money that he was getting. So they're going to be struggling for a while. So Carl, like any other son, he assumes that he's the man of the household now, and he's got to take care of the business. He doesn't have any prospects, so he gets a part-time job after school. Fee, she continues to go to school, you know what I'm saying, and doesn't do anything because, you know, the mother don't want her to do that. And Carl, she don't want Carl to do it, but she understands why Carl wants to do it, so he steps out there and he gets a part-time job working at the gas station. And while he's working at the gas station, he's meeting all kind of guys. People his age are coming in and buying things and whatnot and all this old kind of stuff. And he sees that they're living pretty decent. And like most people, he ends up making a few friends over the time that he's working at the gas station or convenience store, whatever you want to call it. He makes a few friends, and these guys are telling him, look, man, if you need anything, holler, man. We can get you some money. You know what I'm saying? You can get out here with us. You ain't got to keep working at this job. You know how it go. That kind of conversation took place. And he's tempted, but he doesn't do it, right? Because he's never done anything like it. Now, he's going home, and he's going to school and all of this kind of stuff. When he gets up in the morning and his mom is seeing him and he's breaking down, he's tired. He's too young to have these types of responsibilities and too much pressure on him that to the point where he's starting to look older than his years. Now, his twin sister, Fee, like twins, they feel that anxiety that each other have. And she starts to talk to him and she's telling him, look, we got to figure out something else. This is not working. His grades are slipping at school, and both of them are smart, but time, you got to have time to study. You got to have time to rest. You got to have time to do the things that keep your brain energized. And he's a kid. Keep in mind, he's 14 years old. And his father's gone. He doesn't have anybody to pattern himself after now to the point to where he'll know what he's doing. He's never had a job before. You see what I'm saying? So now, he's being pulled by these kids, these other kids that keep coming to the store where he works every day. He's being pulled by them. So he dips out there a little bit. He's still working at the convenience store, but they give him a few packs. You know what I'm saying? Weed. He sells those. He makes some money. You know what I'm saying? As the people come into the store. He's not out on the block. He's working at the place. They come in. You know, he recognizes a few people here, and he asks them, you know, because he's seen, he can look at the front of the convenience store and see who's buying what. You know what I'm saying, at different times. So when they come into the store, he asked me, he said, look, if you need anything, let me know. I got you. So now they're starting to ask Carl about little sacks of weed here and there, whatever the case may be. So he's making a little bit more money than what he's making at the job. So now it's starting to make a little sense to him now. You know what I'm saying? So he's taking this money home, and his mom is like, how you getting this money? He doesn't tell her that he's selling drugs at this particular time and he's working. He just says, I'm working, Mom. Now, she's not stupid because she knows that these other kids to be going to this place. The neighborhood is small. Everybody knows what's going on. But she accepts the explanation that he gives her because she needs the money. She needs the money. So she rides along with it because the bills are being paid. No big deal to her. She's telling herself, and you got to remember, that's what happens to you when you really get put in a desperate situation. You start to make it make sense. Things that don't make sense. You start to rationalize it. And that's what she was doing. So as time goes on, Carl is getting more and more people stopping by the store that he works at. He's making more and more money from the weed than he is from the part-time gig. You understand? You know, a year goes by, he moves on to become a junior. He's still working at the store. The business owner, the dude that owns the place, loves him. Everything is working out fine. Now, Carl is getting more attention from the girls. He's getting more attention from his clientele. Everything seems to be just fine. He goes another year. Now he's a senior. Fee's growing up. She's got a boyfriend. He making sure that when he comes home, he's asking, look, what's up with Dude? But Dude is there a little bit more than he needs to be. But when Carl walks in, he tells him, look, it's time for you to go. Dude respects that because he understands, you know what I'm saying, that Carl is the man of the house. And also that him and Carl, they're kind of cool at the school. That, you know, this guy goes to school with them. All of them are seniors. So it's no big deal. But him and Fee, you know what they doing, you know, when nobody's at home because Miss Brenda has to work and Carl is not there all the time. Him and Fee are dipping and dabbing in the bedroom. You know what I'm saying? You know how teenagers get sometimes. And here we go. 6 months to graduation. And guess what happens? Fee gets pregnant. She's pregnant by this guy. Now they got another mouth to feed. Carl is not happy at all because he wanted his sister to go to college. He wanted his sister to do things that he's not able to do. Now, Miss Brenda, she's sad, but she don't want Fee to know how upset she is about it, so she's supportive because she understands, you know, pregnancy is a delicate thing and you got to be careful, right? Got to be careful. So she's being supportive in one way, and then on the other way, she's blaming herself for not being there enough to make sure that it didn't happen. And on the other hand, Carl is mad at Dude because he feels like Dude took advantage of the time that they were not there to be having sex with his sister. But he also understands that Fee is in love with this guy. Now, the guy's talking about he wants to marry her. He wants to spend the rest of his life with her. You know how you are when you're young like that. So the story continues when Carl, he's still working at the store. Now, he's finna graduate. Time is moving on. The baby is due. He's getting ready to graduate, right? Well, the baby's got 3 more months to go, but all of them are getting ready to graduate. Fee doesn't march because she's showing. She don't want nobody to see her like that. But she graduates. You know what I'm saying? She's not a dumb girl. They're getting ready to graduate. Now, he needs a full-time gig now. And the guy that owns the store, his family, they're like, look, they can only afford to keep him part-time. He stays on for a while, but because he's selling that little weed and he's making some decent money like that, right? But now he knows it's going to be more that he needs because Fee is going to need to be able to take care of this child that she's got on the way. Plus, he wants her to still go off to school. He's already decided he's not going to be able to do it. He's not going to be able to go to school until he gets everything straight. He's already looked at the future, and the future's not bright for him. So these same guys that he became friends with that were coming by the store, the ones that turned him on to the weed game, now he starts to have longer conversations with them, and he's asking them, look, how can I get all the way in? They let him come all the way in. Now it's not just weed, it's weed and cocaine. And now they getting money. Now Carl ends up keeping the job at the convenience store, you know what I'm saying, the gas station, right? But he's in the streets more because he's not at school now. You see what I'm saying? So he doesn't have to split his day. He can spend half of his time in the streets running it down, half of his time at the convenience store still getting legitimate work, but at the same time, he got people that'll stop by there that need to buy something. He's got his own clientele now. He's making real bread. Now he's starting to buy volumes of these drugs, but he's keeping them at the house. He's storing this stuff at the house. You feel me? He doesn't have anywhere else to put this stuff. So he's got a lot of drugs at the house. And he's not anticipating the game the way a lot of people that grow up in the streets anticipate the game. You got to worry about people watching. You got to worry about the robbers. You got to worry about the police, all of that kind of stuff. Because the higher you get, the bigger you get in the game, the more of a target you become. Because you got other people in the streets that don't sell drugs. They stick up kids, and that's how they eat. So they're looking at Carl as a potential victim. Plus the police, like I said, this is a small area. They're watching everything and everybody. And they see that Carl is shaking it. So now they're watching it. So these other guys that turned him on to the dope game, they start to get busted here and there. And they're going in and out of jail. But Carl is not going in and out of jail. He's not going in and out of jail because he doesn't get caught. But he's starting to learn to be a little bit more careful. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, this is a small community. And he starts to pay attention to the police. He starts to pay attention to everybody. Now he's becoming this seasoned dope boy. He's becoming this seasoned dope boy out there. Now the baby is here. You know what I'm saying? He has him a little niece, you know, and he's loving on his little niece because he's crazy about it and all this and that. She looks just like Fee, you know. And Miss Brenda, she's still working, but her body is starting to break down. She's an older person, you know what I'm saying, at this particular point. She's in her 40s now, and she's starting to look like she's in her 50s, late 50s, early 60s, because she's never had to work before when Skip was alive. He did all of that. She had part-time gigs, you know, cleaning up houses and stuff like that for rich people, but she didn't have to put in real hard work. This has been a transition for her as well, and it's starting to show. She hadn't been with any other man. She decided she didn't want to be with any other man. You know what I'm saying? Her only love was Skip, and he's gone, and so she's dealing with it how she's dealing with it. You know what I'm saying? So, Carl has got all of these drugs over at the house. And like I said, this is a small neighborhood, small community. Everybody knows everything. So now the police, you know how the police get bold. And then especially in the mid-90s when they started to do the jump out boys, they coming around and all this and that. So now Carl is getting more attention. They just pulling up on him, say, how you doing, Carl? What's going on? And they would see him out and about, but they never caught him with anything because he never kept anything on his person. He would keep it hid under the bush, away from him. And he'd have the fake conversation with him and all this and that because he knew the police. You know what I'm saying? A couple of guys that were on the force that went to high school with him, you know. They had gone in that direction. So he would talk to him here and there, whatever, and play his role because he was splitting his time. He still worked part-time at the convenience store. And you can't survive part-time nothing. You got to have a full-time gig. You understand? But they're all still living in the same house and living life good as good as they can and all of these types of things. And then one day, Carl gets a taste of it. See, concealed indictments come out. And a couple of those people that had been coming by and buying stuff from him at the convenience store, they were making controlled buys for the police. So he gets arrested. Now, the owner of the store is pissed because the police let him know that these drugs that Carl is being arrested for were being sold out of his establishment, and he risked losing his place. So guess what he does? He fires Carl. He doesn't want to, but he has to. He has to make sure that he has nothing to do with that, and he don't want the police to think that he's condoning that. So he fires Carl. Carl is in jail. He makes bond and gets out, but now he's all the way in the streets because that's the only job Carl had ever had. He had never done any hard work like at a factory or anything like that. So now he's saying that, that's not for me because he's making a lot of money in the streets. Now he's got his first arrest under his belt. You know what I'm saying? He's got a court date coming up like everybody else. And he's in the streets selling drugs. He's got a niece and a sister and a mother to worry about, to take care of. So he keeps doing what he's doing. Now he amps it up a little bit, though. He's full-time in the streets. And he doesn't have time to be playing because he also has to pay this lawyer, you know what I'm saying, to keep him out of jail because he's facing jail time because it's a felony. They caught him on these controlled buys, you know. So he's trying to figure a way out. Now he's talking to these guys in the streets. And you know how that goes. You get advice from these guys in the streets that have been in and out of this thing. But see, here's the problem with it. Everybody's giving the same bad advice. Go talk to this lawyer. Go do this. Go do that. But most importantly, don't say nothing to the police. See, the reason they don't want you to say nothing to the police because that helps the game stay alive. You feel what I'm saying? But everybody's talking to the same lawyer and everybody's paying these lawyers all of this money. But nobody ever asks, you know, if they had this particular lawyer, why did they have to go to jail? You see, Carl is looking at it like I paid a lawyer. He can go in there and beat the case. I don't have to go to jail. He's thinking it's like TV. It's not like TV, y'all. You're either going to get probation, go to jail, or get found not guilty. The chances of him getting found not guilty on controlled buys is limited. Why? Because on a controlled buy, the person has on a wire and they're filming it. So they got him dead to rights on that. So now his prospects are either probation or prison. You feel what I'm saying? And the lawyer knows that the desperation that Carl is displaying because he's seen it before, so he keeps charging them. Every time they go to court, he needs more money. So what does that have to do? Carl has to stay in the daggum streets. He has to keep getting his money to pay this lawyer because now he can't kick the lawyer off the case. He's too far in. So they go to court, the lawyer gets in probation. But Carl is locked into the game now. Everybody's saying, you need to stop, you need to do this, and you need to do that. They're telling him all the right things, but he can't see it. His eyes are clouded because at the end of the day, he got all of these responsibilities. His sister, his niece, his mama, the house, himself. He's got all of these responsibilities. Now, let me tell you this too. Carl also has a girlfriend, but she has her own place, you know. And she's not the type of female, you know what I'm saying, that has a lot going on. So he ends up trying to help her pay bills as well. He's being stretched thin. He's pulled in all types of directions. You've heard this story before, haven't you? You've heard this story before. But I don't think you've heard this story like I'm getting ready to tell you. Because the part of this story that's really going to blow you away is coming up in the next episode. So you're going to have to stick around and check that out, right? This has been another eepisode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Phil Baker, at the Say Peace Show.